When my 9-year-old niece Harmony called me sobbing at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, whispering, "Aunt Vera, check Finley's backpack right now, but don't let anyone see you," I thought she was having one of her dramatic moments. But when I unzipped my son's dinosaur backpack and found what was hidden in the secret pocket, my hands started shaking so badly, I dropped my phone. Let me back up for just a second, because you need to understand who we all are in this mess. I'm Vera, 32 years old, single mother, and I work as a dental hygienist at a practice downtown. My whole world revolves around my 7-year-old son, Finley, this sweet kid who's obsessed with dinosaurs and soccer, who still believes his T-Rex nightlight protects him from monsters. God, how wrong we both were about what monsters really look like. The man at the center of this nightmare is Uncle Tom. 58 years old, retired elementary school teacher, the guy who'd been babysitting kids in our family for the past 20 years. Everyone loved Tom. He was the uncle who showed up to every birthday party with the biggest present, who built that incredible treehouse in his backyard that made him the coolest relative any kid could ask for. He had this warm laugh that filled up rooms and these crinkly eyes that made you feel safe. The whole family trusted him completely. And then there's Harmony, my sister Gwen's daughter. 9 years old, smart as a whip, usually buzzing with this theatrical energy that drove her mother crazy, but made me adore her even more. She was the kid who'd put on living room performances and demand standing ovations, who'd call me just to tell me elaborate stories about her school day. So when she called me that Tuesday night, voice shaking and scared, speaking in whispers like someone might hear her, I knew something was terribly wrong. "Aunt Vera, please, you have to listen to me," she said, and I could hear her trying to muffle her crying. I know about Finley's nightmares. I know why he's scared. Uncle Tom told us we could never tell, but I can't keep this secret anymore. Something bad is happening and the grown-ups won't see it. I remember standing in my kitchen, the dishwasher humming in the background, feeling this cold dread spreading through my chest. "Harmony, sweetheart, what are you talking about?" "Just check the backpack first," she begged. "Check the inside pocket, the one with the zipper behind the water bottle holder. Check it right now while Finley's asleep. Then call me back. Please, Aunt Vera. Please believe me." The line went dead. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, phone still pressed to my ear, trying to process what had just happened. Then I walked down the hallway to Finley's room, each step feeling heavier than the last. He was sprawled across his dinosaur sheets, one arm hanging off the bed, breathing deep and even. His backpack hung on the desk chair where he always put it, this bright green thing with a roaring T-Rex on the front. I picked it up, noting how familiar it felt in my hands. I'd packed this backpack hundreds of times with snacks and juice boxes, and extra clothes for his stays at Uncle Tom's house. The main zipper made a soft sound as I pulled it open. I found the hidden pocket Harmony mentioned, one I'd never noticed before despite handling this bag nearly every day. Inside that pocket were 3 things that changed everything. A USB drive no bigger than my thumb, 3 $20 bills folded neatly together, and a handwritten note in Uncle Tom's distinctive writing that said, "Our special secret, buddy. Remember, good boys don't tell." That's when my hands started shaking. That's when I had to sit down on Finley's bedroom floor, backpack clutched to my chest, trying to breathe through the wave of nausea that hit me. Because suddenly, all the little things that hadn't quite made sense over the past 3 weeks came crashing together into one horrible picture. The nightmares that started after his last weekend at Uncle Tom's house. The way Finley had stopped asking to visit his favorite uncle. The bedwetting that came out of nowhere. The way he'd flinch when adult men got too close at the grocery store. My baby had been trying to tell me something was wrong, and I'd missed every single sign. I looked at my sleeping son, his face peaceful in the glow of that T-Rex nightlight, and I made a promise right there on his bedroom floor. Whatever Tom had done, whatever secret he'd forced my child to keep, I was going to protect Finley now. I was going to believe what Harmony was trying to tell me, and I was going to make sure Tom never hurt another child again. But first, I had to call Harmony back and hear the truth that would shatter our family forever. Life as a single mom meant relying on family more than I'd like to admit. After my divorce 2 years ago, when Derek decided he'd rather start fresh with his 24-year-old yoga instructor than stick around for the hard parts of parenting, I found myself drowning. Working full-time at the dental practice, managing school pickups, soccer practice, homework, dinner, bath time, and somehow trying to maintain my sanity felt impossible. That's when Uncle Tom stepped in like some kind of guardian angel. "Vera, you're running yourself into the ground," he'd said one Sunday at my parents' house, watching me juggle Finley's meltdown while trying to eat my now cold dinner. "Let me take the boy on weekends. You know I've got the space, and honestly, I miss having kids around since I retired." My mother had practically glowed at the suggestion. "Oh, that's perfect. Tom, you're a saint. Vera, you couldn't ask for better help." And she was right, or at least I thought she was. Tom had been the family's go-to babysitter for 20 years. When I was 12 and my parents went on their anniversary cruise, Tom stayed with us for a whole week. He made chocolate chip pancakes every morning, let us stay up late watching movies, and never once lost his patience when my brother Jordan went through his rebellious phase. He'd been a third-grade teacher for 30 years before retiring, had won Teacher of the Year twice, and still got Christmas cards from former students who were now adults with kids of their own. His house was every kid's paradise. The basement had been converted into an arcade with authentic vintage games. Pac-Man, Street Fighter, even an old pinball machine that lit up and made these amazing sound effects. The backyard featured the famous treehouse, a 2-story masterpiece he'd built himself with actual windows, carpet, and a rope ladder that made every kid feel like they were in an adventure movie. He had a golden retriever named Buster who loved kids, a pantry stocked with every snack imaginable, and no strict bedtime rules. "Mom, can I stay at Uncle Tom's this weekend?" became Finley's constant Friday refrain. He'd start packing his dinosaur backpack on Thursday night, carefully selecting which action figures deserved to make the trip. My sister Gwen trusted Tom completely with Harmony. During our weekly coffee dates at the place downtown that made those overpriced but absolutely necessary lattes, she'd always bring it up. "We're so lucky to have Tom," she'd say, stirring extra sugar into her cup. "Remember how he used to watch us when we were kids?" Same gentle soul. Harmony adores him. "I don't know what I'd do without him," I'd agree, meaning every word. Derek sends his child support late half the time, and babysitters charge $20 an hour now. Tom won't even let me give him gas money. The arrangement was more than perfect. It was life-saving. Tom lived just 15 minutes away in that beautiful 2-story colonial he'd bought after his divorce years ago. He refused any payment with his trademark line. "Family doesn't charge family, Vera. Besides, these kids keep me young." Every Sunday when I picked up Finley, Tom would have detailed notes written in his teacher's handwriting on actual index cards. Ate all his vegetables, including the Brussels sprouts. Brushed his teeth without arguing. Only played video games for an hour. Spent most of Saturday organizing my rock collection by geological period. This one's going to be a scientist, mark my words. The routine became our normal. Friday evening, I'd drop Finley off around 6. Tom would already have dinner planned, usually something kid-friendly but somehow healthier than the chicken nuggets I relied on too often. Sunday afternoon, I'd pick him up, and Finley would chatter the entire ride home about everything they'd done. The science experiments Tom set up in the kitchen, the model airplane they built, the way Buster did this funny thing with his tail when you threw his favorite ball. "Uncle Tom says I'm his best helper," Finley would beam from the back seat. "He says I'm special." Those words made me smile then. They make me sick now. The last normal pickup was 3 weeks before everything fell apart. Tom had taught Finley to make homemade pizza, and my son was bursting with pride. "Mom, I did the sauce all by myself. Uncle Tom said I'm a natural chef." "That's amazing, baby," I'd said, ruffling his hair while Tom packed up the leftover pizza for us to take home. "This one's gonna do great things," Tom said, his hand on Finley's shoulder in that protective, caring way that made everyone trust him. "You're raising a wonderful boy, Vera." "Thanks to your help," I'd replied, genuinely grateful. Looking back now, I can see it all differently. The way Tom's house was set up to attract kids, the excessive gifts, the special treatment, the private moments he orchestrated. But then, all I saw was a loving uncle stepping up when family needed him most. All I felt was relief that Finley was safe, happy, and cared for while I caught my breath. I couldn't have been more wrong. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. It started on a Sunday afternoon when I picked Finley up from Uncle Tom's house. Usually he'd run to the car, backpack bouncing, already telling me stories before he'd even buckled his seatbelt. But that day, he walked slowly, head down, dragging his backpack behind him on the concrete. "Hey, Dinosaur King," I called out. "Ready to go home?" He climbed into the car without a word. Tom stood on his porch, waving with that same friendly smile, but something felt different. Finley didn't wave back. He didn't even look. That night, I woke to screaming. Not crying, not whimpering, but pure terror screaming that had me running down the hallway so fast I slammed my shoulder into his doorframe. Finley was sitting up in bed, eyes wide but unfocused, pointing at the corner of his room. "The Shadow Man! The Shadow Man is watching. He's going to know I told." I pulled him into my arms, his small body shaking violently against mine. His pajamas were soaked with sweat. "Baby, what Shadow Man? There's nobody here. Look, it's just your room." "I can't tell you," he sobbed into my chest. He said I can't tell. He said bad things happen to boys who tell... Who said that? "Finley, who told you that?" But he just cried harder, clutching my nightshirt with both fists like I might disappear if he let go. I held him until he fell back asleep 2 hours later, my mind racing through possibilities. A movie he'd seen? Something at school? A story another kid told him? The nightmares continued every single night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, each one worse than the last. Dark circles formed under his eyes like bruises. He started having accidents at school, something that hadn't happened since he was 4 years old. His teacher, Mrs. Patterson, called me concerned. "Finley fell asleep during reading time," she said, "and he's been unusually withdrawn." When I asked if he wanted to share his weekend news during circle time, he started crying. That's not like him at all. I scheduled a pediatrician appointment thinking maybe he was getting sick. Dr. Martinez found nothing wrong physically, but suggested anxiety might be the cause. "Has anything changed in his routine recently? Any new stressors?" "No," I said, then paused. "Well, he's been having nightmares since last weekend." "Did something happen last weekend?" "He stayed with my uncle, same as every weekend for the past year." She made a note in his file. Sometimes kids process things differently. Keep an eye on it. I mentioned it to my mother during Sunday dinner at my parents' house. The whole family was there. Mom, Dad, Gwen with Harmony and her husband Brett, my brother Jordan with his wife Camilla. Tom was carving the roast, laughing at something Dad had said about the football game. "Finley's been having terrible nightmares," I said, passing the mashed potatoes to Jordan. "Every night this week." Mom waved her hand dismissively. "Kids have phases. You had night terrors at that age too. Scared us half to death, but you grew out of them." My father nodded, cutting his meat precisely. "Tom mentioned Finley watched some scary movie trailer by accident last weekend. Kids' imaginations run wild with that stuff." I looked at Tom, who was now helping Harmony with her plate. "You didn't mention a scary movie when I picked him up." Tom's expression was apologetic. "Oh, it was nothing really. An ad came on YouTube between videos. Some horror movie thing." I clicked away immediately. "But you know how sensitive Finley is. I didn't think it would affect him this much." That explanation should have satisfied me. It made perfect sense. But my gut twisted as I watched Finley, usually Tom's shadow at these dinners, pressed against my side. He hadn't touched his favorite mashed potatoes. When Tom reached across the table to ruffle his hair, Finley actually flinched. "Hey, buddy," Tom said, kneeling down beside Finley's chair after dinner. "Want to see the new fish I got for the aquarium? It's a blue tang, just like Dory from the movie." "No, thank you," Finley whispered, gripping my hand so tight his little fingernails dug into my palm. Tom's face showed hurt confusion. "Everything okay, little man? Did I do something wrong?" "He's just tired," I said quickly, but I was studying Tom's face now, looking for something I couldn't name. That's when I noticed Harmony watching from across the room. She stood by the window, holding her American Girl doll, but her eyes were fixed on Tom and Finley. When our eyes met, she quickly looked away, but not before I caught something in her expression. Fear, warning, knowledge. Later, while washing dishes with Gwen, I tried to sound casual. "Has Harmony seemed different lately?" Gwen stopped scrubbing the casserole dish. Actually, yes, she's been really clingy. Doesn't want to go to Tom's anymore. Threw a complete fit last Friday when I tried to drop her off. Same with Finley, I said, handing her another plate. The nightmares started right after his last visit. Tom said they had an argument about screen time last week, Gwen continued. Harmony wanted to play some game on his computer, and he said no. Maybe they're both just mad about boundaries? Maybe, I agreed, but the word felt wrong in my mouth. That night, after I'd finally gotten Finley to sleep with his dinosaur nightlight on and his door cracked exactly halfway, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, staring at a blank search bar. What was I even looking for? Signs something is wrong with your child? Why won't my son visit his uncle anymore? Every search felt like a betrayal of Tom, who'd done nothing but help our family. But I couldn't shake the image of Harmony's face at dinner, the way she'd looked at me like she was drowning, and I was standing on shore, not seeing her wave for help. The call came Tuesday night at 11:07 p.m. I remember the exact time because I'd just checked my phone, debating whether it was too late to text my coworker about switching shifts. I was folding Finley's tiny soccer uniform when the phone rang, showing Harmony's face on the iPad contact photo Gwen had set up. Harmony? I answered, immediately concerned. Honey, why are you calling so late? Is everything okay? I heard breathing first, then sniffling. Then her voice came through in a broken whisper. Aunt Vera. I need to tell you something about Uncle Tom, but you have to promise not to be mad at me. My body went cold. I set down the soccer jersey and sat on the edge of my bed. I promise I won't be mad. You can tell me anything, sweetheart. He's been showing us things, bad things, on his special computer in the basement. Her voice cracked, and I could hear her trying to muffle her crying. The one he said was just for grown-ups, but then he changed his mind and said we were special enough to see. I gripped the phone harder, forcing my voice to stay calm. What kind of things, Harmony? I can't say the words. Mom says those are bad words, but it was pictures and videos of kids doing things without clothes. He said it was normal that all kids do this with their uncles, but we can't tell our parents because they wouldn't understand the special games. The room spun. I pressed my free hand flat against the mattress to steady myself. Harmony, has he touched you? Has he touched Finley? He takes pictures, she whispered, and I could hear her voice getting smaller. He has a special camera. He gives us presents after, lots of presents, money and candy and toys. He said if we ever told anyone, our parents would be so angry they'd send us away. He said no one would believe kids anyway. Listen to me, I said, standing up now, pacing, my mind racing through what I needed to do. You are so brave for telling me. I believe you completely. Where are these presents? That's why I'm calling right now. Mom and Dad are asleep, and I finally got brave enough. He makes us hide them so our parents won't ask questions. Check Finley's backpack, Aunt Vera, in the inside pocket with the zipper, the one behind where the water bottle goes. But if he finds out I told you, he said he'd know. He said he always knows when kids tell. He won't find out, I promised, already walking toward Finley's room. Harmony, is your bedroom door locked? Yes. Good. Are you safe right now? Yes, but Aunt Vera, there's more kids. At the family reunions, at the neighborhood barbecues, he's always the one watching the kids. He's always taking them to see something cool in his house. My hand was on Finley's doorknob. I'm going to fix this, okay? You did the right thing. You're protecting Finley and yourself and all those other kids. Can you be brave for just a little bit longer? I'm scared, she admitted, and she sounded so young, so small. I know, baby, but I'm going to handle this. Your mom is going to be so proud of how brave you are. Everyone is going to know you're a hero. Uncle Tom said heroes don't tell secrets. Uncle Tom lied. Heroes protect other kids, exactly like you're doing right now. After she hung up, I stood in Finley's doorway watching him sleep. His dinosaur nightlight cast green shadows on the wall. His breathing was peaceful, one arm wrapped around his stuffed triceratops. He looked so small, so innocent, so trustworthy of the adults in his life to keep him safe. I moved silently to his desk chair where his backpack hung. The green T-Rex seemed to watch me as I unzipped the main compartment. My fingers found the inner pocket Harmony had described, one I'd never noticed, despite packing this bag countless times. The zipper was stiff, like it hadn't been used much. Inside, my fingers touched plastic first. A USB drive, black, unmarked, small enough to hide anywhere, then paper. I pulled out 3 $20 bills, crisp and new, folded together. Finally, a note in Tom's distinctive teacher handwriting. "Our special secret, buddy. Remember, good boys don't tell. Asit." I also found candy I'd never bought, specific expensive chocolates I'd said no to at the grocery store just last week. There were 2 small toys still in their packages, the kind you'd get from the dollar section at Target. Bribes, payments, hush money for a 7-year-old. I sat down on Finley's floor, backpack in my lap, evidence in my shaking hands. Everything made horrible sense now. The nightmares, the terror about the shadow man who would know if he told, the accidents at school, the way he'd flinched from Tom's touch at dinner. My baby had been carrying this secret, this weight, these bribes in his dinosaur backpack while I'd been grateful for free babysitting. I took photos of everything with my phone, then carefully placed each item in a Ziploc bag from the kitchen, handling them as little as possible. Some part of my brain had shifted into protection mode, thinking about evidence, about proof, about making sure Tom could never deny this. Then I sat at my kitchen table and made a list. Call the police, call a lawyer, call the Child Advocacy Center, document everything, get Finley somewhere safe to tell his truth, protect Harmony, warn Gwen. Figure out which other kids had been alone with Tom. But first I needed to wake up Gwen. Her daughter had just saved my son, possibly saved dozens of children. At 11:47 p.m. I sent her a text. Emergency, not life or death, but serious. I need you to check if Harmony is awake and if she's okay. Then we need to talk, tonight. My phone rang within 30 seconds. "Vera, what's going on?" "Harmony called me," I said. "She told me about Tom." "Gwen, he's been hurting our kids." The silence on the other end stretched for so long I thought we'd been disconnected. Then I heard her running, heard a door open, heard her voice gentle. "Harmony, baby, are you okay?" "Oh, sweetheart, come here." And then I heard my niece's broken sobs finally being released into her mother's arms, the secret finally spoken, the weight finally lifted. "I'm calling the police," I told Gwen. "I'm coming over," she said. "We're both coming over right now." I didn't sleep that night. Gwen arrived at my house at 12:30 a.m., with Harmony wrapped in her purple blanket, both of them in pajamas and sneakers. We sat at my kitchen table while the kids slept, the USB drive in its evidence bag between us like a live grenade. At 3 a.m., after we'd cried and planned and held each other, I called the police. "I need to report child abuse," I said to the dispatcher, surprised at how steady my voice sounded. "My uncle has been showing pornographic material to my 7-year-old son and 9-year-old niece, and we have evidence." By 6 a.m., 2 detectives were at my door. Detective Walsh, a woman with kind gray eyes and silver hair pulled back in a bun, handled the USB drive with gloved hands. Her partner, Detective Rodriguez, took notes while I explained everything Harmony had told me. "We'll need to interview both children," Detective Walsh said gently. "We have specialists at the Child Advocacy Center who are trained for this. They know how to help kids feel safe while telling their truth." "When?" Gwen asked, her arm around Harmony, who hadn't left her mother's side. "Today, if possible. The sooner we get their statements, the stronger the case. Has Tom had any contact with you since last night?" "No," I said. "He doesn't know we know." Detective Rodriguez looked up from his notebook. "Are there other children who spend time alone with him?" Gwen and I exchanged looks. "He babysits for half the neighborhood," Gwen said. "He's been the family babysitter for 20 years. There are dozens of kids." The detective's expression darkened. "We'll need a list." The next 48 hours blurred together in a nightmare of revelations. At the Child Advocacy Center, a place designed to look like a comfortable house rather than a clinical office, Finley finally told his truth to a specialist named Ms. Jennifer. I watched through a one-way mirror as my brave little boy explained in his 7-year-old vocabulary what Uncle Tom had done. He said it was education. Finley told Ms. Jennifer, playing with toy dinosaurs while he talked. He said all kids need to learn about bodies, but parents are too shy to teach it right. He showed us videos on his basement computer, kids doing things. He took pictures of us too, but with clothes on. He said those were just for his special album. "Did he ever touch you?" Miss Jennifer asked carefully. "No," Finley said, and I felt a mixture of relief and rage. But he said maybe when I was older, if I was really good at keeping secrets. He said Harmony was getting old enough to learn more. I had to leave the room to vomit. The USB drive contained what Detective Walsh called grooming material. Nothing explicit enough for immediate federal charges, but concerning enough to warrant a full investigation and search warrant. Tom had been careful, calculating, walking right up to the line without crossing it in ways that would guarantee prison time. The photos were of fully clothed children in poses that weren't explicitly sexual, but were clearly intended to be part of a progression. He's been doing this for years, Detective Walsh told us after the initial forensic review. This kind of careful documentation, this level of organization, this isn't new behavior. My phone rang that afternoon. It was my mother. "Vera, what have you done?" Her voice was ice cold, sharp enough to cut. "Tom just called us in tears. He says you've accused him of something horrible. He says the police took his computers." "Mom, he's been showing porn to Finley and Harmony. We have proof." Children misunderstand things. They exaggerate. Tom explained about that movie trailer, how the kids must have built it up in their minds. "Mom, there's a USB drive with photos. There's evidence. Harmony told us everything." That child has always had an overactive imagination, and you know it. You're destroying our family over children's fantasies. "He admitted to the pictures, Mom." He wrote a note telling Finley to keep secrets. "He's been part of this family for 40 years. He helped raise you. How dare you turn on him like this?" She hung up. Within hours, the family divided into camps. My father called, his voice quiet. "I believe you, Vera. But your mother won't hear it. She says you've always been jealous of how much Tom helped everyone else." Jealous? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I know it's ridiculous, but she's in shock. Tom's calling everyone, crying, playing the victim. He's hired a lawyer, says you're a vindictive single mother who's poisoning her child's mind because Tom told you Finley needed more discipline. 2 aunts called me a troublemaker. An uncle said I was attention-seeking. My cousin Rita was the only one who said, "I'm driving over right now." My son hasn't been himself since Tom watched him last month. But then the dam broke. After the local news ran a careful story about a long-time educator under investigation, more parents came forward. The Johnsons from 3 streets over, whose 8-year-old daughter had suddenly become afraid of basements. The Waynes from Tom's old school district, whose twin boys had nightmares about a cameraman. My cousin Rita's son finally admitted Tom had shown him educational videos, too. Detective Walsh called with updates every day. We executed the search warrant. Vera, we found more than we expected. Hidden cameras in the bathroom, external hard drives with thousands of images, legal but concerning. Chat logs with other predators discussing techniques. This goes back decades. Tom was arrested on a Thursday morning, 6 weeks after Harmony's brave phone call. The charges were initially limited, endangering the welfare of children, exposing minors to explicit material, possession of concerning images. But Detective Walsh assured us more charges would come as more victims came forward. He was escalating, she told us privately. The progression in the materials we found shows he was getting bolder. Harmony and Finley speaking up probably prevented something much worse. Tom was arrested 6 weeks after Harmony's phone call. The trial is set for next year, and his lawyer is trying to plea bargain it down to probation and registration as a sex offender. The prosecutor says that's not happening, not with 17 children now identified as victims spanning 2 decades. The family remains fractured, some still defending him, unable to reconcile the uncle they loved with the monster he truly was. My mother sends me texts calling me a family destroyer. I don't respond anymore. Finley is in therapy twice a week with a specialist who works specifically with children who've experienced grooming. The nightmares have mostly stopped, replaced by a heartbreaking maturity no 7-year-old should have. He asks questions that break my heart. "Mom," he said last week while we were building Legos together, "I wanted to tell you, but Uncle Tom said you'd be mad at me. He said you'd love me less." "I would never be mad at you for telling the truth," I said, helping him find the right piece. "And nothing could ever make me love you less." Nothing. He said no one would believe a kid over a grown-up. He said he was a teacher, and everyone trusts teachers. Well, I believed you. And the police believed you, and the judge will believe you too. Will I have to see him again? Not if you don't want to. We're going to keep you safe. He clicked the Lego piece into place, completing the dinosaur we'd been working on. "Mom, why did Uncle Tom do those things?" I'd rehearsed this answer with his therapist, but it still felt inadequate. Some adults are sick in ways we can't see. They hurt children because something is broken inside them, but that's never, ever the child's fault. You did nothing wrong, neither did Harmony. Will I be broken too? No, baby. You're the strongest, bravest boy I know. You survived something terrible and you're going to be okay. You're already okay. Look at you, building dinosaurs and scoring goals at soccer and making me laugh every single day. Harmony's brave too, he said, looking up at me with those huge brown eyes. She saved us. Yes, she did. She's a hero, and so are you for telling the truth to Miss Jennifer. Harmony has become my shadow at family events, the ones Tom's defenders don't attend anymore. She's in therapy too, working through the guilt she feels for not speaking up sooner. Gwen and I have become closer than ever, united in our fierce protection of our kids and our shared guilt over what we missed. We were blind, Gwen said last week over coffee, our new Thursday tradition since we can't do family dinners anymore. All those red flags we explained away. The excessive gifts, I added, the special treatment, the way he always volunteered to watch the kids, the basement that was off limits except when he invited kids down, the way he'd insist on bath time, help even when the kids were old enough to bathe alone. We've made lists like this a dozen times, torturing ourselves with the signs we missed, but Dr. Martinez, who's been helping us process this, reminds us that predators are experts at manipulation. They choose careers that give them access. They cultivate trust over years, sometimes decades. They know exactly how to make parents feel grateful rather than suspicious. Last Sunday, while pushing Finley on the swings at the park, our new Sunday tradition since family dinners died, he asked me something that stopped my heart. "Mom, do you think there are other Uncle Toms out there?" I wanted to lie, to protect him from the truth that monsters don't look like monsters, but he deserved honesty. Yes, baby. But now you know the warning signs. Now you know that no adult should ask you to keep secrets from Mom. Now you know your body belongs to you, and now you know I'll always believe you. He pumped his legs, soaring higher against the blue sky. "Mom, I love you. I love you too, Dinosaur King. Can we get ice cream after this?" "Absolutely." As I watched him swing, laughing for the first time in months, really laughing from his belly, I thought about family trust and the wolves who hide among sheep. I thought about the voices we silence in the name of keeping peace, the accusations we dismiss to avoid uncomfortable truths. I thought about my mother, still convinced we're lying, and my father, who believes us, but won't stand up to her. The secret in the backpack saved my son, but it was Harmony's courage to speak up that saved them all. She's 9 years old and braver than most adults I know. Sometimes the most dangerous monsters are the ones we invite to Sunday dinner, the ones who know exactly how to make us feel safe while they hunt our children. Trust, I learned, should never be blind, not even with family, especially not with family. Background checks, vigilance, and believing children should matter more than keeping peace at holiday dinners. The investigation continues. More victims call the detective every week. Some are adults now, finally able to speak about what happened in Tom's basement 20 years ago. And somewhere, Tom sits in a cell, his lifetime of careful grooming finally exposed by a brave 9-year-old girl who refused to let the Shadow Man win. If you're watching this and something feels wrong about someone in your child's life, trust that instinct. If your child's behavior changes after spending time with someone, ask questions. If another child tries to tell you something, believe them. The signs are there if we're willing to see them. And to anyone watching who's carrying their own secret, their own USB drive hidden in a backpack, their own shadow man who said no one would believe you, we believe you. Speak up. Tell someone. Keep telling until someone listens. You're braver than you know, and you deserve to be free. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone in your life might need to hear it. Leave a comment about your thoughts, your own experiences with trusting your instincts, or how we can better protect our children. And please subscribe to this channel for more stories that matter, stories that might just save a life. Thank you for listening.